So I'm not going to participate in your delusion. And my thing is like, you'll never meet a Republican that uses pronouns. It's just a fact.
I had to pick out a pronoun, and it gave me choices. So
a way of showing compassion would be to tell someone that pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
I don't feel like that's what they're saying. Bruh, can we have a conversation logically without your daggone feelings, please? All right, so our next drink that we got coming up is something that I'm gonna need for y'all to be extremely honest about, because we're about to have this conversation. If you look onto the thumbnail, that's what we're about to talk about right now, all right? Hopefully y'all are ready for this conversation, because I most certainly am, all right? I might say some things that could potentially hurt some feelings. I don't know. Might piss you off. All right? Because like myself and a lot of these other reaction channels that do political reactions, we were on one side at one point, and now some of us on the complete opposite side. I miss my music reactions too, so thank you so much. I really do. All right, let's get to it, guys. We about to have a good conversation. Hopefully you stay, because I'm not going to do a whole bunch of talking unless people send super chats, and I stop to acknowledge that, or I get on a little roll where I'm talking sugar honey iced tea.
I'm not going to participate in your delusion. You'll never meet a Republican that uses pronouns. It's just a fact. It's only the left.
Everybody uses pronouns. Just some people choose to
Okay, well,
announce
my
their
pronouns now for the rest of the time are pretty princess.
That's not a pronoun.
What do you mean?
Those are not even pronouns.
Okay, so what are your
That's
Zize,
grammatic.
Zem, Zer, Ichi?
We are approaching the 150th episode of Middle Ground, and we need your help to continue making more episodes.
Join our Middle Ground Patreon community and make Middle Ground with us.
Yeah.
My former political views were cult-like. Can the agreeers please step forward?
I was gonna say, I think both are just two separate cults, because which is so funny. And I think also sides have ironically kind of switched, because as a Republican now, I'm so anti-war. I'm anti-sending money to all these different countries that are not ours, while people are sick from the water and children are starving. Anti-pharmaceutical, anti-big government, anti all these things. And I'm like, that is original liberalism. So I'm I think I'm more independent, but I register and I vote as far right as I possibly can and always will.
I think both sides are very tribal.
Yeah.
But in terms of cult, at this moment in time, I think that
Her personality is a little much. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. She's exciting. She got some appeal to her and everything. Good on easy on the eyes and whatnot. But she's just really gung ho. I vote far right on everything. Why? I vote far right on everything. Whose mom is that? Y'all know who that is.
the left is more cult-like. I was in it for 20 years, what's known today as the woke left, but we used to call it social justice left, progressive left.
Known by
And-
conservatives as woke.
Right, but here are some of the characteristics that I think make it more cult-like than perhaps the conservative side. One is that if you had questions, you had to check your privilege, or there was always some line that they would use to get you to stop asking questions, which is sort of cult-like. And then the other thing was there was this encouragement to separate from people who didn't agree with you. And so I slowly over time whittled my world down to just people who were in the social justice left. And there was really, for people who left, which I did eventually, which was a long process, it's a bit like you become an apostate. You don't just leave or have different opinions. It's like once you leave, you can't come back.
That is a cult. It's like Scientology.
Well, I have perspective because I came from a really religious background, and there's a lot of shame around believing something other than what you're taught. Because of that, it makes you feel like you can't express any questions without being told that you're going to hell, you're going to be exiled from your family. And so when I started thinking a little bit outside of the lines of what I was always told, family members literally to this day will not speak to me, will not look at me in family gatherings where you're just supposed to be like, you're my family, aren't you supposed to love me endlessly? And in turn, they've exiled me because I don't believe the things that they believe.
And I think that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the way,
Agreed,
I
yeah.
am ironically pretty far known as far right in my community, and then ironically very leftist at times, because you can't please everyone. But I have never cut off a person because of their political beliefs in my life, but everyone on the left did it to me.
I will say from my own experience, but coming from the opposite. So especially when the George Floyd incidents were happening, it was kind of, a consensus that you should be BLM, rah, 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 all cops are bad. And just me questioning that within my own circles, it's like there's a lot of pushback and it feels a little awkward because I'm just, it's literally just asking questions.
Like you're expected to lean heavily on the side of your peers or your community or wherever you are, wherever the echo chamber is. If you're not also a part of the echo chamber and you break the line, like we're saying something, I'm not saying it. Hey, bro, you broke up the echo chamber. When you break up an echo, it's going to cause disruption, all right? And all you're trying to do is just be true to yourself. And you see it from another angle. You see it from another perspective, another point of view. You know what I mean? And that's based off of your own living, your own understanding. But people get real butthurt when it comes to this type of stuff. And they would definitely, I don't know, just act as if you don't even exist. Act as if you're part of the problem. Act as if you're demonic for simply seeing something different and understanding something different in it all. That's the person that wants to start a conversation. The person that's willing to go against the grain and have and start the uncomfortable conversation because I see something different than everybody else that's in my sphere. Then those are the people that should be listened to, in my opinion. Even if you have somebody in your echo chamber right now who every now and again says something that just make you like, why are you even here? I thought you was. You know what? Check yourself before you do that, because nobody is a monolith. Nobody is just one way, all right? That's why I don't understand why I used to think it was okay just to vote straight party lines, straight blue. Why did I think that was okay? That came from somewhere, right? And sometimes it's from ignorance because we feel like the people who are running for these positions and running for office are trained to do what we're voting them in for, so we don't have to check up on them. We don't have to hold them to account. Not understanding that they work for us. We are literally giving them their jobs through our votes. So we have to stay locked in with what's going on, all of the laws that they're a part of. But a lot of times we feel like voting is just the one thing that we have to do. And then everything else as far as accountability, we walk away from it. We like, man, I ain't gonna teach you how to do your job. Listen, I ain't got nothing to do with that. All I know is I'm voting straight blue because that's how it's supposed to be. And if everybody is saying that cops are bad, cops are, are just killers, cops don't like black people, if everybody in my sphere says that, then I need to say it too. That's when you know it's bad, man. The same way when there's a whole bunch of people who look beyond that on the other side, just say that no cops are bad. All cops are doing what they're supposed to do at all times. You need to always listen to a police, no matter what. Those people are just as equally, I'm not going to say unintelligent, but misinformed as the other side that says that all cops are bad. And I would love to get into a conversation with anybody who feels different than that. I would do that. I will have that conversation ad nauseum. I don't care about saying anything that might hurt your feeling because that's not a concern of mine. We're all adults. Only people I'm concerned about hurting their feelings is my family. That's it. Those, at the end of the day, because I say everything with good intent, but I do want you to understand that you cannot. It's difficult. I mean, it's dangerous to take a hard stance on the same side for every single conversation, for every topic. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
If I did have to, point a finger, I would point it at the left or the liberals for feeling attacked by words that are said on the other side. Because there's not a lot of, conservatives that are like, oh, you said there's more genders. I'm offended. I'm personally attacked by that.
That's literally only one side.
Yeah, it is.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I honestly think that both sides have very tribalistic tendencies at a time. As far as the question, were my beliefs personally cult-like? I don't think that I was in a cult. And I mean, even I think you mentioned that conservatives don't get offended by speech as much, but conservatives get offended by pronouns. They got offended by Mr. Potato Head. They get offended by all kinds of
really stupid things.
Yeah, they get very triggered also. And for me, when I left the right, that was something I noticed because I started off as anti-SJW, triggered feminist stuff. And I'm like, the right is kind of becoming this way too a little bit with some things, very offended and triggered.
I would like to push back a little bit about conservatives being offended by pronouns. I think it's more so that they are being forced and to acquiesce to the pronouns of other people, which is, a form of, controlling speech.
Well, don't conservatives get really mad, when the whole pronouns and bio thing?
No,
look, you have pronouns.
Nah, I agree with that, youngin. I agree with that. Nobody's getting offended by the pronoun. They're upset because they have to. Like, this is now a rule that I call you whatever pronoun you want to be called, regardless if it matches what the heck I'm looking at. If it does not match what I'm looking at, I'm like, whoa, what? And I can be arrested for it. Our kids can be kicked out of school for it. I can be released from my job for it. It's so many different things, man. So nah, that's not offense. That affects your life at that point, because I don't want to play the game that you want to play. Just because I walk up to you and I pass you a basketball, that don't mean that you have to play. That's how they go. If I walk up to you and I hand you a football and I just start running, that don't mean you got to throw it to me. If I walk up to you and hand you a tennis racket and I stand back 10 feet and I throw up the ball and hit the ball towards your head, that don't mean that all of this is, if it's forced, and I do say game, some people look at it as this is our life. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Y'all should know that. I'm not at all. Not at all. But if I do, then that's not my fault. That's not my business. That's yours. You need to grow up. You need to understand why people have these stances when it comes to pronouns and such. And for this gentleman to say that he was a former conservative and speak, I don't believe you was a former conservative, bro. I think that you probably came from a conservative family, but that don't make you a former conservative. Like, you look like you may have voted once. You might have voted once. You don't know what you are at this point. You still got some living to do. And when you went to school, all of that conservatism just ran right out your body. It's that when people go to college, they liberal off top. Like, I'm liberal. I'm about the young people. That's it. No matter how foolish it is, I'm about the young people. So at the end of the day, man, we need to be more sensible about this.
I get what both of you are saying, because my thing is like, why would I ever care if you have pronouns in bio, but I will never call you by
I think
them.
it's more that people just view it as a tribal signifier. So in the same way that someone might view, oh, that person has a cross in their profile.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've definitely, like, if I see pronouns in someone's bio, I'll roll my eyes. It doesn't mean that I, like, hate the person or not, but it is going to signify to me, in 95% of cases, I'm going to know exactly what
I know exactly who you are almost, so I'm just going to stay away from you.
You're going to assume that you know a bunch because someone has pronouns in their bio.
Because I'm not going to participate in your delusion. And my thing is, like, you'll never meet a Republican that uses pronouns. It's just a fact. It's only
everybody
the left.
uses pronouns.
That's not true. You're gonna meet people on the right or left that use pronouns, and that's partially because some places force you to. Yes, some places force you to. As a matter of fact, I went to go start a new IG page, and because I had another idea, but I didn't want to do it on my regular IG page. And when I went to go do my IG, I had to pick out a pronoun. I couldn't move around it. I could not. Unless you guys know of a secret that I don't, it wouldn't allow me to. It said that I had to pick out a pronoun, and it gave me choices. So that's that.
Pronouns. Just some people choose to announce
Okay, well, my
their
pronouns now for the rest of the time are pretty princess.
That's not a pronoun.
What do you mean?
Those are not even pronouns.
Okay, so what are your
That's
zizay, zem, zer, he, she?
Yeah, I think
Great.
that pronouns.
Pause. Sorry. I want to pull it back to Colt.
Yes.
Okay?
Circling back to the cult idea, we kind of straight in went to pronouns, which I think is, again, it's like a kind of a hot topic. The media really makes you believe that one side is more of a cult than the other. That's all subjective. Some of the people that are on my side, it's cultish, but
Lag plays. That I'm gonna take that as a compliment, but it could come off as a slight, talking about you broke your phones looking at me. That's kind of petty.
it doesn't mean everyone is.
Well, let me give you an example, like, because I agree with you that the media is fomenting these, like, right side, left side cults. 100% I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, like, when I, quote unquote, like, left the left, it was because I had.
That's a dad bod. That's a dad bod. See, I've always been, because I've never had a dad bod. Not that anything's wrong with it. Look, the older you get, the more relaxed you get. You should be able to chill. You shouldn't have to be forced to work out or anything like that if you don't want to. But that's definitely a dad bod right there, bro. I'm not body shaming anybody at all, because I got a boy bod. Like, I'm built like a teenager who probably played basketball or something for the team, for their high school. That's how I'm built, so I ain't throwing no slice at cuz.
I had begun to question the policies that were surrounding the whole COVID situation. And I experienced cultishness on the left and the right, for sure. But what I found was, if there were people who were willing to listen to me, they were like 95% of the time they were on the right. About, like, I think the government is trying to control us. I think that they're trying to force us to do XYZ things. I only found ears on the right, except in maybe 1 or 2 cases. So like for me, I was like when the prompt is like, oh, the left is, or your former side is a cult. That was very visceral to me. There was a section of the right that I could talk to, and they didn't feel like there was a section of the left.
Well,
That's because the left are not trying to listen to you talk about the government is trying to mess with us, because the left are being taught to trust the government no matter what, that we got your backs no matter what. You can't afford this, we'll give it to you no matter what. You can't afford that, we'll do it for you no matter what. Just know that we are in charge and we got this. You don't need to protect yourself. We will protect you. You don't need guns in your house. For what? That's what the radicals want to do. What, they don't trust us? You trust us. What you need a gun for? That's why we got police. That's why we got this. That's why we got that. So if you ever get into a room filled with people and you talk about how you don't trust the government, obviously the people who have been taught to trust the government and to put all of their faith in government, government, they are going to look at you sideways like, bruh, is this dude tripping? Is he tripping? I trust the government. They just now gave me a check. I trust the government. They I ain't even have to pay for my boy. They let me have 5 in a row on the same day. Like, come on, bro. Like, so it's gonna be difficult.
You can always talk to me about it sometime if you want.
I was gonna say,
I'd be
me
more
too.
than happy to talk to you about the COVID stuff.
Thank you, my friend.
I think Trump will win the next election.
Hey.
Love Trump. I think he's the greatest president we've ever had. And I love him. I've loved him for a long time. Personality, everything. I will say, the more they do this witch hunt after him, he just keeps getting more and more popular. And now that we have free speech on Twitter, you cannot deny that people love him. Like, the Black community's coming forward. And it's just funny because I love watching them go after him, because I think elections at this point are 100% fake and rigged. I just watch him rise in popularity. Huh?
Are you going to think that if he wins?
I mean, with the entire world against you, I'd be shocked. But I just think now it's harder for them to hide it.
Yeah, I mean, I had major TDS for his Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah. A lot of people on the right have it. They were like obsessed with him and crazy.
The cult thing.
Yeah, it's a cult thing.
I had major Trump derangement syndrome through pretty much his entire first presidency, except I was a little softer towards the middle of 2020.
I think Dad Bod is trying to make some moves on Shorty right there. I think Dad Bod is like, if she walk up, I'm walking up. If she don't go, I ain't going. I mean, he's saying some good things. Listen, I'm a man. And sometimes I think man things. And I do think that one of the reasons why, he probably trying to let her know, yeah, I'm a real conservative. I got your back, baby. Listen, you vote that way? I vote that way. How about we go out for a drink and talk about voting later? Just you and me. Just two. Just two. I get you whatever you want.
But even so, I didn't really come around to liking Trump until after he was president. I went totally Republican in my viewpoints, but I think that I came around to liking him, unfortunately, after his presidency, because I saw what we got next. And so now at this point, I'm voting for Trump in the primary, in the general, God willing.
My life was way better then.
My life was way better.
And I could afford things.
I'm concerned that he's going to win as well, and I don't think it's because he's the greatest president we've ever had. I think it's because the Democrats have a branding problem. And I think Trump is a brilliant marketer, and I think he's a brilliant con man, and I think he's done a fabulous job making the case to the people who love him that he's going to do what they want him to do, even though he doesn't. So I think he definitely can win. I think they're both wildly unpopular, both him and Biden.
Totally.
I think that there's not a lot of great options. I think the vast majority of people voting want another option, and I do think that his base has more enthusiasm than the Democratic base does.
That's one of the problems with the internet. This young man is one of the problems with the internet because he has opinion on top of 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 opinion. I think, I fear. That's because he don't care to look at the actual things that Trump has done for the country when he was the president. You don't want to look at that record, but it's listen, and I hate to take culpability away from him. I have to take just a little bit. He is being taught from a lens of individuals who will only feed him the negative part. Like, there's a bunch of people who won't eat pork because of chitlins, like the nastiness of, and I know some of y'all eat chitlins, and I'm not attacking people that eat chitlins. And if you're gonna have chitlins over your house for Thanksgiving this year, that's your business. I'm not attacking you, okay? But some people look at the nastiest part of the pig and judge it that way, and that's what they want to feed people. Like, this is all there is. Trump is a con man. How is he a con man? Please tell me one reason. See, nobody over there at Jubilee will say, whoa, you said he's a con man. Please tell me one reason, one way he's a con man. How did he con anybody? What did he do to con? Please tell me. Please tell me. Because the one big thing that he wanted to do was the one big reason why y'all called him a racist. That was to put up a wall. But now look at us. Look at us. I'm just saying, bro. See, a lot of these people are not ill-informed. They don't have the information for it, but we platform them.
I think it's funny you say that because I think that about the right. I think we have the worst branding issue in the world. I think the right is so tacky.
The Republican Party does. Trump does.
Yeah, I think the Republican Party
marketer.
is just so tacky, 20 years behind. But it's funny because I'm watching far left people come onto like my side now, and I'm like, it's starting to shake things up. But it's funny because I think if there was another option between him and the current vegetable we have, and also Kamal is so unpopular, like you just have double trouble with them.
Yeah, the Democrats aren't. They're not putting up a viable option. I think
RFK I thought was
I think the
amazing.
worst thing that the Democrats did for themselves was like push RFK out of that primary.
So like tacky, Becky is on it. She is on it, bro. I've never seen that. I guess there are Republican Beckys.
I love, by the way.
Are most Beckys Republican? That's what I have a question. Are most Beckys Republican? I know Karens are usually Democrat, right? No.
I like him too. And now he's running as an independent.
I'd like to start off. I really do hope Trump wins. I think it's for the best interest of America that he does. Unfortunately, I do fully believe that the Democratic Party is a bunch of political terrorists, and I do believe that they will do whatever they can to steal the election. You know, it's a hot take, but...
Young man, whose son is this? Whose son is this? I like him. That is Becky with the good hair. Beyonce, we don't want no smoke. Listen, I like that young man. Let me rewind this back just a little bit. Un poquito. Okay. All right, here we go.
Fully believe that the Democratic Party is a bunch of political terrorists, and I do believe that they will do whatever they can to steal the election. You know, it's a hot take, but from the last election with the ballots, I really don't think they're going to make it
Trump,
easy.
Called and said to find fake ballots?
I mean, there's a longer call that you could listen to that debunks everything. I mean, he's not going to end up in jail. All of that is just, a hit job. But I do think the Democratic Party would rather die than have him in power, and I think they could do that because people aren't aware about the ballot fraud that's going on.
Quick on that, on the voter fraud comments that you made. Like, what about yesterday? Sidney Powell just pled guilty to 6 counts of the conspiracy in Georgia against the election there.
Check this out. I love how when she started talking, right? And she said something about Sidney Powell, the one-time attorney for former President Donald Trump. They put up the actual information about it. They put up the information just to back that up. You're not going to see too much of that going on when it comes to something that will back up a conservative point of view or statement on this channel. That part right there makes the conversation a little leaning, like it's like they're trying to guide the conversation to go this way, or they want to guide their viewers to think this way, which it sucks, man.
So that's actual fraud that was committed on the right side for Trump.
There's probably on both sides then, but I would say it's much more in the favor of seeing that, during the election count they pause it and they, mail in ballots for Joe Biden.
I also think we shouldn't take guilty pleas at face value because the justice system really
that would be believing the rest of the system, which I don't believe any of it. So I guarantee there's fraud on both sides, and it's all
for sure.
And I think it's all corrupt. So
I agree.
I don't think he's going to win. I agree with you. I don't trust the last election results, but I actually don't trust any presidential election results since Kennedy. So I don't.
The former liberal says that she don't trust the last election results.
I just think, I think I am going to vote because screw them. I'm not gonna allow them to instill apathy in me. But I don't really put a lot of stock in national elections anymore, and I think local is more important. So I think that they probably are gonna not give it to a Republican this time around.
And just to let y'all know, because I asked the question, what's the favorite dish that you want to cook or eat for Thanksgiving? And they gave me some great choices. Oh man, made my daggone. I wish it was time to eat some Thanksgiving right now, because I would tear it up. I don't know why I wanted to tell y'all that, but
Religion played a part in changing my belief.
Religion played a part in
Join our
changing my
Middle Ground
belief.
Patreon to watch this exclusive prompt.
Democrats are more compassionate than Republicans.
Why did they skip that one? Religion played a part in changing my beliefs. And then they said, watch the full show in order to see this part. And they just skipped it. I wanted to hear that because religion actually played a part in changing my beliefs. Spirituality played a part in changing my beliefs. The Bible played a part in changing my beliefs. Actually understanding what the Constitution says played a part in changing my beliefs. So it was come on. I don't know if I like the fact they skipped that one.
Fancy meeting you here.
I was waiting for someone to say something. And you know I hate it. You know I don't want to be sitting here. I will say, I do think the left tends to be more emotional. I would assume that that would come with feelings of empathy. And I will say, people on the right, I am not actually very popular on the right. As soon as you disagree on certain things, I mean, the death threats, the
You're
hate.
woke.
Yeah. Oh, so you're liberal now, and I'm like, and there are certain things like abortion's a hot topic. I think it's a little crazy and it's a little too far. I would hope that in the future I become a more middle voice in the Republican Party, but I do find in general.
Hey guys, I'm gonna wait until after their debate before I give my 2 pennies per topic so that I can let it flow the way it's supposed to flow. Then we'll move on to the topic that way.
Like people on the left, I think because you're more emotional, inherently you're gonna care more about people's feelings. I'm not really one to care that much. That's why I'm on the other side, you know what I mean? But I'll give you guys that credit.
I actually agree with what you're saying a lot because they've even done like literal brain scans and they can actually predict people's political beliefs based on their brains up to like 80 to 90% accuracy. Like it's insane. And so I think, well, you're right, that people on the left do tend to think more so, I think it's with their left side of the brain, that has more emotion involvement, which can be both a blessing and a curse, I think, at times, because politics are also about factual information. And so feelings are obviously not all that matter. But yeah, Democrats do tend to be more compassionate at the end of the day.
Yeah, and when I was on the left my whole life, and like I was literally an emo kid. So it's like funny being on this side now. Now I kind of like, I'm a lot more analytical about things. I try to cut the emotion as honestly a survival tactic at this point.
I agree with that too, because for me in my personal journey, it was very close to that. Like my mom used to tell me that. She's like, you have like zero empathy. But I feel like as I went through my journey, not just like transitioning in politics, but just like I went through my own kind of self-discovery journey. And I feel like empathy really came into play there. And as I started to listen to stories from people that had lived experiences, I was like, wow, you know, I really do feel for them and I can put myself in their shoes. And I feel like now I'm even maybe an empath. Like I'm very much.
You can totally gain it and you can totally lose it.
Yeah.
Totally. It's up to you.
Yeah. But I do feel like since that, I feel like, you know, I am so much more compassionate now towards, you know, humanity in general and people. And as I gained empathy, I became more liberal.
I think Democrats are much more concerned with like social programs that help people who aren't themselves. And I think that they often are the leaders of the civil rights movements of our time. And I think those things and leading policy with people first, I think, is a bigger priority for them. And it's not to say that Republicans don't have empathy or compassion. I just don't think it necessarily leads their politics.
It does not lead their politics. I'm going to go backwards. It does not lead their politics because politicians are not together to pick out the best way to make us feel good, all right? It's not about our feelings at all. It's about prolonging humanity. So if we put our feelings on the table when it comes to the decision making that the adults in the room are making, they are doing it so that humanity is prolonged. That's why they discuss things like the nuclear family. That's why that's so important. But because liberals have been taught to feel so compassionate for everybody in their own way of wanting to be a family, you know, it's like you can do that. You don't have to be like everyone else at all. But you need to at least be able to do your math. If the nuclear family just completely stops, then where will the new people come from? And if the new people are coming from just single individuals just doing whatever they want to do, would that add to the problem or would that add to the solution of what's going on today? How would that extend our values? How would that make us a better nation? So it's so much that goes into that. As far as the personal journey is concerned, that the lady kept on saying, I'm on my personal journey where I understand, I have more compassion, so I'm liberal now. What happens is when you were more conservative, you paid attention to the things that made us what we are. You paid more attention to the things that made you more self-sufficient, more understanding of the laws, and just a better person overall. You understood family a lot more. But then when rules are stripped away, like you don't have to be this to be that. You don't have to say this. You can be whatever you want to be, and they will call you that. And if they don't, you can sue them. You can get them fired. And all these different things are just because I feel. Everybody got feelings. Ain't nowhere in the world I would have raised my kids in a house simply because of their feelings. Like they tell me what they feel. How do y'all feel about doing homework? Y'all don't like it? Okay. Y'all don't have to do homework. How do you feel about respecting your teachers when you go to school? You don't like how they don't call you the pronoun that you want to be today? And you think I should talk to them? I should raise some hell over it? You definitely right. We got it. And go interrupt and disrupt somebody's class because of a pronoun. So it's just so much wrong with this, man. At some point, there has to be an adult in the room. So when people get to a point in their life when they no longer want to be the adult in the room, they want somebody else to do the task. They want somebody else to be the responsible ones. Then we say we're liberal now. Like everybody do whatever they want, baby. Just leave us alone. Leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. Just do what you want. Do what you want. Just don't get caught. And then that completely messes up everything.
So Jonathan Haidt has a great book called The Righteous Mind, which I think everyone on this panel would love it probably. But in that book, he's trying to figure out, I think the subtitle is Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. And he divides morality up into different types of morality. One of those types, the one that liberals and conservatives have in common, is the care harm principle. They both care about people. They both don't want people to be harmed. But the difference is that they have different definitions of what's going to harm people and what's caring for people. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really interesting when I started leaving the left. I thought, Republicans don't care about people, that's why they oppose raising the minimum wage. And it wasn't until I started listening to other points of view that I realized, they oppose raising the minimum wage because they think it's going to harm people, because you're going to get fewer hours, fewer workers, people are going to get fired. And so it's not that we disagree, liberals and conservatives, on the why. Like we agree on that, why we should care for people. We disagree on the how.
I agree with that 100%. Adding more to that is my way of showing compassion would be to tell someone that pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Like you have more potential, you can do this, as opposed to someone else saying that, okay, the government should step in and support you and do X, Y, Z for you.
I like this young
which
man.
In the grand scheme of things isn't going to benefit that person. It's going to teach them that they can rely on a bigger being to be, their support system. But if you learn how to pull yourself up, I think you can be more equipped to go throughout this world and is successful. I
like this young man, and whoever raised him did a damn good job. A damn good job. Yeah, damn good job.
Can't both things be true? I don't feel like liberals are telling people that they need someone to pick them up and that they can't do it for themselves. I think
Yeah, don't see when you start off what you're about to say with I don't feel like that's what they're saying. I don't feel like that's what they're saying. Bruh, can we have a conversation logically without your daggone feelings, please? Can we talk about like what's going on and you leave your feelings? Just leave your feelings there, man. Let's talk about what it really is, bruh.
they're saying that there's inequalities in the world and that there's structures in place that put people in a position to where they can't get the life or the things that they want, the things that they deserve, and they can do both at the same time. You can pick yourself up and you can accept welfare. And I think that there's a lot of programs that people have benefited from, even just the ability to feed their kids. It doesn't mean that this mom is all of a sudden going to not work because she's getting welfare. She's probably already has 2 or 3 jobs.
Talking from my own experience, I think if I'm being told, as I was, that I am oppressed and that there are systems against me, I am not going to have the same capabilities of lifting myself up from that if I'm maintaining the mindset that I am oppressed and that I can't do something. Instead of saying that I could have done better, I'll be like, oh, the system's against me.
I feel like black people are told not that. They're told they have to work twice as hard, so they do. I don't think that black people don't try because they're told that they're oppressed. I think
black people don't try because they are told that they're oppressed. Telling you that. I don't think, I don't feel. No, I'm telling you that. Not only black people, anybody that's told that they are oppressed. You're told that you have a mental disorder. Your mental disorder, your mental disorder is what's bogging you down. It's nothing else. That's it. It's just your mental disorder. And the mental disorder could have been made up yesterday. Could have been made up last week, last year. So yes, when you give somebody the crutch, when you constantly letting someone know that they have a crutch, they're not going to try to run. They barely going to try to walk without receiving some help. It's a mental thing. Once you reset your mindset, you're fine. And you can still do it compassionately. You ain't gotta say, kiss my butt. You better do it yourself. No, that's not showing compassion. You can still show someone love by saying, you need to get up off your tail and do it yourself, right? Ain't that what God said? Jesus was like, man, pick up your bed and walk. I can't do it because I'm crippled and they always beat me to the water before the blessing. As soon as the water is blessed, I try to make it there, but I can't get there because look at me, man. I can't even move. Look at me. I can't even move. They won't do anything for me. They got to come pick me up and take me over there. Jesus said, man, pick up your bed and walk. Go do it. Go get it. So this youngin' don't understand that part.
I think that they are told that you're going to have to do more because of discrimination.
Yeah, I think in terms of
you don't have to do more because of discrimination. You just have to do more because doing more builds character. Doing more shows you how to appreciate what you've earned and not what you just was given. That's what doing more does. Bruh, clearly this dude is he loves to work out. He's there in the workout shirt and all this other stuff. I'm sure if he's training anybody, he's not going to give people any type of bailouts so that they not have to work hard to achieve whatever goals, whatever physical goals that they may have. And that's the thing right there. We become so turned up when it comes to things that we believe in, but other things we just want to give people crutches, man. They know that they can get it, but they just know that since they're black, they're gonna have to work twice as hard than everybody else, which is bullshit, honey, iced tea. That's BS. When I wanted a job, I went to the mall. I went to any store that was open during the day. And I asked them, can I apply? I did not care what they were selling, what service they was providing. All I knew is that they were a business and I was a potential employee of theirs. And I went out looking for it. It did not make it twice as hard for me to find a job simply because I was black at all. And if we keep on feeding this to people, I will tell you this. People who believe this can't possibly have raised an upstanding young adult. People who have raised young adults, they don't give them any crutches. They let them know that you get what you give. What you put in, that's what you get. You're not going to walk up to that ATM machine with your card and try to pull out $500. If you never had a job that put $500 inside of that account, it doesn't work that way. You're going to have to work twice and 3 times as hard because you're black, because of slavery, because of 1619. That's BS. It's BS. And I know it because I've raised 4 children where I never taught them that, and they are all kicking butt. Every single last one of them. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I taught them that if they wanted it, they had to go get it, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Nobody's going to come save the day, not even mommy or daddy. We're not going to be the ones to be able to study for them tests. That's all you. You got to handle your business. And by them learning that at a young age, now they are at an older, they're older right now, and they operate like, I got this, even when times are hard. They're like, Dad, don't worry about it, I got it. Even if they don't got it, they're like, I got it. Because we taught them early that if you want it, you go get it. Ain't no because man, my kids are black. Look at me. You think my kids are white? They not. They not. The competition is not even between them and other people. Twice as hard to do what? Your competition is yourself. Like if you want more, you do more. Myron, I listened to somebody named Myron Golden, and he teaches a principle that's be, do, have. B-E-D-O, have. Be, do, have. All right. So if you want to be anything, you got to do what it takes to be that so that you can have whatever you want to get, period. If you don't want to have anything, then you won't do anything and you won't be anything. And don't look at those people who have not because they ain't do sugar honey iced tea and now they aren't anything. Don't look at them and say, well, you're only there because you're black. You're only there because you live in the hood. You're only there because you're poor white. And that's another thing too. There's a whole bunch of poor white people out here. And when we talk about people being oppressed and not having what they need, we always forget the poor whites. How in the hell you thought Trump got so popular? Trump got popular because he was speaking for everyone, including the poor whites. But racist-minded people, racist-minded individuals will say those are the only people that support Trump. The only people that support Trump are the poor white people because those are the only people that he's smart enough to get their interests and get their, then they're the only ones smart enough to buy into what he, bruh, people are ridiculous, man. Stop giving people crutches. Okay, I'm done. Let's listen to the rest.
Compassion. I think that like on the right, there's more like a tough love kind of thing where it's like, you have to do this for yourself. We can't do this for you, but we want to encourage you to like take initiative and you can be whatever you want to be. And I think, on the left, it's like, well, we need to help everybody to, realize their full potential. I think both of those things can be compassionate in different ways. And I think to a certain degree you need both mentalities. Exactly. Like I think we need to find middle ground and say that on both sides are finding compassion, I guess, in their that's why I didn't step forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Changing sides was traumatic.
Before we move to the changing sides is traumatic, I just wanted to point out what Nate, our last super chat, said. He says, all that separates us is the distance we're willing to go. All that separates us is the distance we're willing to go. Now, we also got to look at what we're capable of, right? Like, look at what you're capable of. And also, we need to chase the correct things. A lot of times we are more concerned about getting a certain amount of money and we're no longer concerned about what about our purpose here? Like, what's our purpose? Our gifts, our talents, vicinity, our knowledge, and purpose. We all know that there's something we're supposed to be doing in life. But since we're chasing the wrong things, we fail at every turn. Of course you're going to fail if you don't even know what game you're in. You don't even know what you're striving to achieve. You don't know what you're trying to achieve. So of course you're going to fail. Like you're in the basketball game throwing a football. You don't know that because you're not paying attention to the correct things. And you're always listening to the same people who act as if they're trying to help you, but they're constantly feeding you doubt about yourself. Anyone that continue to feed that doubt, if they're feeding something in you that's not making you a better person, they don't have your best interest at heart. They just don't. So if somebody's telling you you're black, so you got to work twice as hard, that right there is them feeding into some darkness that's been spread through other ridiculously racist minds that they want you to believe. They want you to believe that so that they can be your only help. Sometimes you got to judge the dog that's carrying the bone, all right? Judge the messenger sometimes. Look beyond what they're trying to tell you. No, we get it. The police only pulling you over. They only messing with you because you're black. That's it. Why they always coming around here messing with us? It's 12 o'clock at night. The only thing we out here doing is shooting dice. We just chilling. We just chilling. Well, guess what? When they listen to your music, and when they look at the news and listen to more of your music, they believe what you're telling them. They believe what you're showing them. If you're not showing them anything different, if you're not telling them anything different, why should they think anything different? Huh? Just make that make sense. As people say all the time, the math is not mathing. It really isn't. Your music tell them what you're about to be into. The statistics, who's committing all these crimes, tell them what you're about to get into. You hear me? And I would never want to be a police officer, ever. Man, these guys, man, y'all are just y'all are built different. Like, y'all are. I can't, nope. Just like I can't fight for I didn't join the military because they are built different. They different. You know what I mean? I don't want to be out there secure. But listen, thank God for them. All right. But we all got to do our parts. All right. If we want them to see us in a better light, we got to show ourselves in a better light, period. And we got to do that more and more and more and more, because I do realize we do it. We do it when we do it. It's a whole lot of positive entertainment out there that shows what we do. But we also got to do it in real life too. Like, we got to stop with the killing. We got to stop with the robbing. Because last time I checked, crime is going up in every inner city. Crime is going up in the suburbs because people are just tired of committing crimes in the inner city, and they coming out to where the have-nots are going where the haves are to get what they want. I guess that canceled out the be do have thing. If you want to have a lot, you go take a lot, and now you for the gram, you are a lot. Have a great day, Seashell Mac.
It was very, very, very traumatic. I've grown on the belief, that, Black people are systematically oppressed, and that does a lot for a young person's perspective. And when I started to, listen to the other side, and I started to dismantle that within myself, I felt like my whole life was really a lie. Not only that, but I was also a pretty big ally of the LGBTQ community. And then seeing transgenderism dismantled in front of me was also very discomforting, because I have transgender family members, and I was very pro LGBTQ, and it's just feeling that like everything's just crumbling down. It took me a lot of time to cover through it, so it was. I remember the feelings very vividly.
I mean, I have a different perspective because, again, we kind of are on different sides of that spectrum. I was raised militantly in religious and political ideologies my entire life. And when I was 20, my sister was killed in a car accident. And because of that, and that extreme trauma that happened that had nothing to do with my ideologies, it allowed me to open up my eyes to the struggles that other people were going through, because I had never experienced something of that devastation before. So I opened my eyes to, like, what else is going on that I'm not aware of, that I've been in this bubble being told that, no one else is oppressed. I was just told that they weren't real, and that I had to be steadfast with my beliefs, and if I questioned them, then, there was this fear and guilt associated with it, and it caused an immense amount of trauma that I'm still desperately working through to this day.
It's funny because we're on different sides, supposedly, but we have a lot of similar experiences, because the social justice or woke world, I was in it for about 2 decades. I worked with comedians who also were woke and pushed woke beliefs in their comedy, and I really was a true believer in it. I thought it was about ending racism and sexism, and when I started to question it, it was like your whole world crumbling. I lost a lot of friends. They weren't friends, they were allies. That's the way I think of it now. I ended my career and changed my whole perspective. And I think the reason it's so traumatizing, to use that word, is because it's not just like you're changing one opinion on one issue. If you think of your belief system as like a house, you are literally bulldozing your whole house to the ground and starting over with brick by brick. What do I believe about this thing? I don't have an opinion yet on that because I'm trying to read about, I had limited myself in so many ways of what I was allowed to listen to or allowed to read, or, within that cult, there are people that you just don't listen to. I had never listened to a lot of conservatives. So.
And that's a problem in and of itself too, is I think to have a good understanding of just society of people of both sides, you have to be able to listen. I think not being able to inquire about why someone believes something that they say and then have a confrontation about it is why there's so much division.
I think something I've learned through this whole ordeal is that anyone, anywhere, on any side that tells me not to ask questions, I'm going to immediately ask questions.
Of course.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And
you should be able to.
Yeah.
You should be able to ask questions on either side and just not feel like there's going to be daggers thrown at you for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I might not necessarily agree, but I'm allowed to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't want to shut anyone down. Like, freedom of speech. You're allowed to speak. I'm allowed to disagree.
I was on the fence with this one because my experience wasn't necessarily traumatizing, but it was definitely really uncomfortable. My entire family are all like staunch Republicans, Trump supporters, and I'm one of the only ones that have actually branched off of that and away from that. And so I was silenced pretty much because I was getting a lot of pushback and I was getting a lot of hate and kind of being bullied for my views and for speaking out against them and what they believe.
She wasn't being bullied. I don't believe her. I don't believe her. I'm sorry. I do not believe her.
I feel like that's the one thing we have in common. I don't think all of us had a beautiful transitioning. Like, I would like to put it in a positive way. It was the worst time of my life. I lost literally everything, which is weird because I always feel like I've been the same Emily. And as soon as you put politics in it, you're like this different person. I'm like, you guys, it's me. I've always been this person. But I will say, like, on a positive note, like, I lost everything. And I'm so happy I did. I would not have my boyfriend, my friends, my career, my spirituality. I mean, it was the hardest and best thing that's ever happened to me. And if people go through that, I think you can either be a victim or it could be the most hardest, most beautiful thing you ever go through. And I could not be more thankful. I feel very, very lucky.
I think for me it was less traumatizing and more empowering. I think knowledge is power, and I think when I started, I grew up same as you guys, very, very religious and conservative, tightly knit family and community, and there was just a very limited allowance of what you could believe, and there was a very limited view of what America was, what America represented internationally, and as a queer person, it was also, conservatives were not super welcoming, and so for me, leaving that space and realizing, oh, the United States is not the beacon of hope that we wish it were internationally, and queer people are allowed to be happy and fulfilled. It just, to me, it felt like freedom, and it felt like, oh, I now see how America became the world's strongest superpower. And there's a lot of...
Why? Because the country became more gay? What? Everything about what he just now said was about how the country became more gay, and he felt empowered by that, so he switched from conservative to liberal. And now the world just seems perfect to him. It's like, we wasn't the respected superpower that I once thought we was because they didn't accept gays. The world is more gay now, so now this brother feel like on the left side, like when you go left, yes, now you can put on all your little do whatever you want to do in those little places. I don't want to say too much, but at the end of the day, bruh, come on, man. That's hilarious.
Issues that come along with that power and with the freedom we have, it comes at the cost for a lot of other people around the world. And I think getting that information and knowledge, it made me feel like my eyes were opening to the real world and not just what was happening in my community and in this country.
Yeah, at one point he was a stickler for rules. One point he was a stickler for common sense. But then he got so wrapped up in the gay life that he saw what side was far more welcoming of all of the extra stuff that came with it. See, one thing that people fail to realize is that everybody is accepting of everybody. So it's not about being accepting of gays or being accepting of drunkards or being accepting of people who, you know, the streetwalkers, the ladies, the lot lizards, all right? It's not about that because we are all made in sin, shaped in iniquity, all those things. But the left got extremely nonsensical with regard to the LGBT community. They did. Gay is not gay anymore. Gay used to be gay. Now gay is like 50 other things. It really is. And this young man believed that that's liberty. He believed that that's freedom. He believed that now he's at home, not realizing you're far gone from where you should be. That's all I'm gonna say with that.
The dual party system hurts America.
1,000%.
Everybody.
There's 350 million people in this country. There's no way we all have two opinions.
Exactly.
No.
And it's crazy too, because we were just talking at the beginning about cults, and it's like, how do we expect people to not become inevitably really divided and polarized if it's like are you on the right side or the wrong side? And that's it, you know what I
exactly.
mean? So like depending on who you ask, they're going to tell you what they think is the right or the wrong side. But
When you were saying Robert Kennedy, you were saying, oh yeah, he would be a great candidate, and I think he would be able to maybe see both sides. Now he's running for an independent. How often does an independent or a non-Republican or Democrat win an election?
Yeah. Like
Maybe
Andrew
local,
Yang.
but not presidential election. So now we've maybe potentially lost a candidate that could see both sides and could actually make change. But when there's so much division on two sides, there's no way that the majority of people in the United States are actually going to get a change in the ways that they need it.
I think most people are more in the middle and like have a lot more that they agree on than they realize, but this two-party system and especially the media, they keep us divided, they pit us against each other.
It's funny because I'm like, I actually should be there because I actually don't agree. I think the two-party system is working perfectly because we're all at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they want.
It's working for what they want.
It's working for what they want
Who's
and not
they?
for what we want.
The
So it's
establishment.
actually perfect.
who's they?
The
That's what I
establishment,
was gonna say.
the political leaders.
Yeah,
It's like
the-
you have a
the
50, you have a
entrenched
toss,
political
like a 50%
class.
chance of
Yeah.
winning every election because the country's split right in half.
Exactly.
And everyone has to
Thank
be
you,
trouble,
Larry.
and we have
Thank
to
you,
argue
Larry.
about things like whether or not trans people are trans or real people. And then it stops us from moving any sort of other conversation forward.
Stops moving forward.
We
Right,
get
like the
caught in these
RNC
culture
and the
wars.
DNC have no incentive to
No.
have like more parties.
Which is
right?
why I don't think
Like,
Congress puts forth any bills to change the way that elections are
Yeah.
done, or that even getting people on the ballot from other parties
Yeah.
is
Well, we're like
impossible.
distracted fighting, so we don't know they're like poisoning our food and water, and we're all like literally dying.
And to Blake's point, like, I think a good illustration of this happened in the past couple years where the COVID policies first came down, the mandates and stuff. They completely exploited this right-left thing, and they said, oh, wait, no, all the right people are over here and all the left people are over here. And, you know, the 70-something% possibly of people who just kind of follow went with their tribe. They successfully got us at each other's throats about policy like mask and vax, and did you get it? Are you going to get it? Do you agree with the policy? And you know what happened? We forgot about, like, where did this virus come from? And now they've all come around, now that we've all been successfully fighting for years, now they're all quietly in the mainstream media going like, it probably came from the lab that was studying viruses like this, like somehow it got out. Sorry, we didn't let you talk about that back then, because we would have come together.
Yeah, but if we came together, we'd all go after them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they don't
That's
want
why
us
they
to
don't
come
want that.
together.
That's why they don't want that. Yeah.
They don't want us to see this middle ground.
Okay, I think that's BS. I think they do want us to. Well, money will make the powers that be do some very demonic things and keep us at a stronghold fighting so that we not find. You know what? I think that's partially BS too. I think we just confused as hell and we got way too many options. We got way too many options. I like the two parties. I like the two-party system because there's not just one person making all the rules. That's it. That's the only reason why I like it. That's it. I'm not for the dictatorship, but I am for two adults, and now they're represented by their own cabinets and whatnot. But if they learn to be adults, this could be a perfect system. Right now, I believe we have way too many options with anything. We're so entitled. We are spoiled AF, especially Americans. Like, our freedoms make us so spoiled. That's why they looked at Donald Trump as being a racist for saying he wanted to put up a wall to not allow people to come in here willy-nilly from everywhere else and take up all of the resources of the American citizens who pay taxes for these resources. The LGBTQ couldn't even keep gay. They need to be LGBTQ, AB+, AB blah, 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 blah. They want the entire freaking alphabet to stand for something that's in the gay, the homosexuality, area. Why? We have far too many options already, period. And independent is not going to work because they are smack dab in the middle. Well, at least they're trying to, but there's not enough people who are smack dab in the middle. Nor should there be. It shouldn't be. Like, at the end of the day, like, start thinking sensibly and having these conversations that we need to have. I'm certain that there's a superpower out there who we're working against their desires, their goals by fighting it so much. Hey, we want to get rid of a lot of you. This is too many people right now. We need to get it down to 7 billion, So we're creating things to make that happen. We're creating these beefs between you all, so you can have somebody to blame. You can have somebody to protest against. You can have somebody to fight. It's not your fault. It's never your fault. It's always the other side's fault. Yes, So those are the days that we want to continue to blame? No, blame yourself. Blame yourself, period. We don't even know whose guidance we want to follow at this point. We don't want to follow anyone's guidance. We just want people to do their jobs and to figure out how to do their jobs for everyone. It's so many different people, man. We need to figure this out together at the end of the day. For real. I don't get it, man. We always want to blame they. They.
I think my disagreement is pretty simple. The two-party system seems to be an inherent flaw within democracy, because if the answer is to have more political parties, I think that loses its efficiency. And if it's to become one, it stops being a democracy. And where the two-party system fails, we should make some improvements. Whether the two-party systems are actually causing America harm, I think it's just the way, America was designed.
Yeah.
This dude is the adult in the room. He's the adult in the room. Is he the only adult in the room? That's what it's kind of seeming like.
Why can't we change it? They don't want it to be changed.
Because they're making billions.
There you go with the they and the they. Because they're making billions. Come on. Y'all might like Becky. Yeah, Becky is cool. She's cute. She look like she's not cute to me, to be honest with you. She's not. I know some of you probably think she's gorgeous, but they showed her close up, and I don't think she's gorgeous. Or maybe she's just not my style at all. I actually think that the most beautiful lady up there right now is the older one. Is the older one with the flower shirt on. Like, she has the most natural beauty, if you want to talk about beauty. But it seems like we always want to blame someone else. This dude said accountability. They said because they're making billions. Come on. He said we don't want a dictatorship. That's not what we want. Like all of these third world countries that's going to where they've gone, that started out great and they've gone somewhere else. They've gone that way because of dictators. Greedy dictators, right? And now we're here. We have a two-tier system that, this is supposed to operate properly, but it also takes us. If we're also adding to the noise by not even trying to have the conversations necessary, we want them to reach over the aisles and communicate with other people. But we don't want to do it because we want to act like we already know what the issues are. No, the issue is this. This is how we feel. I represent them. I speak for them. No, you don't. You only speak for yourself.
But what would you change it to?
Well, do you have 10
because
hours?
I would say,
Do you have like 85 days?
well, what I would say is that, getting down to one political party would, it would seem, totalitarian in essence. But, I think, a lot of totalitarian societies, if there is a good moral head of that government, it could do a lot of good.
Yeah.
I would say Singapore, it's illegal to spit gum on the floor, and that's because of their totalitarian government, I'm pretty sure. And, but it also promotes, decency.
Like Dubai, it's like you can't go over there and yell and like shake your butt in a thong, and like I think that is not okay to do either. And that's kind of totalitarian over there as well.
You don't think that? I'm not buying that.
Those are like very little things that you're giving up to have no control over your own life.
Like Saudi Arabia also is another example. Is like you will chop your hand off literally if you steal, and as a result there is no crime. Imagine living somewhere where zero crime.
But there's no freedom.
There is zero crime.
You will freedom either. And again, if we want to talk about biased statistics, totalitarian government is not going to be delivering accurate statistics from within when they're saying.
It's like they put a whole bunch of progressives in the room and they're not really going anywhere with this conversation. It's like everyone's just giving in to what the other person says just so they not have to argue and have an actual conversation. Nobody's being challenged. This leads to nowhere. This does not lead to answers. It's just at this point, we're just watching people who are mostly bubbleheads just speak about their sides about, the information based off of the information that they know and the information that they don't know, just blame it on they. Whoever the hell they is, we're going to blame they because it's not my fault and it's not the people's fault that I represent and it's not my community that I'm a part of. It's their fault. Whoever they is, that's who we blaming. These conversations, I'm not going to say every conversation need to be had. At this point, am I saying it right? It seems like they're spinning their wheels. It's like they're really not talking about anything, but they're talking about a lot of nothing, if that makes any sense. Or am I just being too much of a jerk or something? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting anything from it. Hope y'all are, but I'm not getting anything from their conversation at all. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and stop their conversation because I'm not getting anything from it. It doesn't serve me at all. Not one bit.